So welcome back. In fact, you were
Thank
in
you.
the first session, so we
Yeah,
had made a little change now.
yeah.
So let me participants quickly introduce Mr. Ghosh. Sarbajit is the Asia Executive Director of CIEL Textiles, a global player in textile and garment operations, present in Mauritius, Madagascar, India, and Bangladesh. He's also the Managing Director of Laguna Clothing, a very famous and probably the best shirt maker from India. So
Thank
he's a
you.
mechanical engineer with MBA from IIM Ahmedabad and previously worked for Unilever and Tata Group. So welcome, Sarabjit. What we'll do, Sarabjit, we'll keep the presentation around 20 minutes roughly, and
Sure,
then leave some space for if some questions are there.
sure.
Please.
Okay, so my theme is exploring themes of sustainable practices in the apparel manufacturing industry. And thank you again for inviting me. So I'll just start with a small video on what we are doing so that we can have the context of our discussion.
Is at the origin of more than 10% of the greenhouse emission in the world. The impact on the environment is massive.
According to United Nations, we need more than 3,200 liters of water to produce a shirt. We cannot continue to produce clothes like we do today.
There's been a lot of positive impact of what we've done over the last decades, but we've come to a stage where we need to make a change. Our purpose is for a world we feel proud of. It means that whatever we do in our industry, there is a work behind us. So we need to be proud of what we're doing. The mission is improve fashion every day. It means that we have to improve the way we work, and there's a lot of work in that respect.
Sustainability has always been part of our DNA at Textile. We take care of our people, our employees. We take care of the community around us, around our factory, and we take care of the environment. We know that sustainability is a long journey, and we cannot achieve everything alone. We need to create partnership to drive the change.
We have a lot of processes to ensure through training, through communication, that the people who work with us feel at home in our organization.
Basically, our industry has a very bad reputation for being a polluting industry, and the general perception is that, labor is exploited. In the factory, we provide free lunch, we have a doctor on call, we have a creche, so we do things which many factories don't do. Another interesting thing which we do is we basically operate a 5-day week. We work one Saturday every month. This is to ensure that they are automatically able to have a better work-life balance, which is unheard of in the garment industry. People get to see how other companies in the group are performing. They benchmark their practices with them. So there's a lot of learning.
One of the biggest challenges that customers bring to us today is circularity. It's something which is requested by the customer, but also the consumer in the store.
So I've worked with CL for many, many years in my career, probably over 25 years actually, through various different retailers I've worked with. And I've known that CL have always been at the very front, and if you like, at the very top of the game when it's come to sustainability, being responsible, whether that be from a social or environmental point of view, as well as very innovative technologies that they've developed on the different products that they work on. So when we're talking about sustainability, for me, sustainability means things that are relevant to the planet, so the environment rather than the social side of things. The social side, so the people side of it, we put under what we call our ethical trade program, and that is what we call social. So our two pillars, if you like, of the things we do around how we source and where we source are around people and planet, social and environmental. Some of those pillars are around circular design. We work very, very closely with CL on improving the way that we design our product from the very beginning. So we can design it for a long life, but we can also design it to be easily recycled, put back into the loop and go again. They've also worked very closely with us on innovative materials, such as organic cotton and recycled polyester. So again, always looking to sort of see what's coming down the road and get ahead of the game rather than wait for that to be put in front of them. And that's something that we've collaborated really well on.
At CL Textile, we have nearly 20,000 talents across multiple countries. Each and every of our talent should come at work with their hearts and their brain. So that they give the best of who they are.
A few years back, we have launched two programs, Act for Community and Act for Environment, to drive the people engagement and the different activities that we are doing in our 18 factories.
We know that if you don't make a move quickly, the planet is at risk. So when it comes to our industry, it's going to come next. I mean, if we are at the origin of 10% of the greenhouse emission, we have to make a change. What we want to achieve at CL Textile is to do it before we are being told to change.
Okay, so let me start my presentation. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, there are many themes in sustainability, but I've just taken a few of them. And the first theme is being a responsible business. This is nothing to do with manufacturing or apparel manufacturing. It's something which is getting more and more important today in this world. Second is building organizational capacity. I mean, we all hear a lot about sustainability, but often the question is, where do we start? What do we do? The third is what is called today Activate Climate Response, which is basically talking about environment. And I'm sure you would have heard a lot about it. The fourth is about co-creating sustainable products. And you may ask, how can a manufacturer, we get orders from customers, how can we co-create? So that also is something which I would talk about. The next important theme is traceability and sustainable sourcing. You know, in China, the US has banned Chinese cotton coming from some regions because they feel that forced labor is being used. And that has affected the industry. So now people are asking for the origin of the raw materials, right up to the cotton, for example. And the last thing is circularity, which we talked about briefly in our presentation. So let's quickly cover responsible business. And I would like to acknowledge Professor Vasanthi Srinivasan, who's also part of this program today and who was my teacher very recently in a program. So basically, when we talk about responsible business, there's a pyramid. You know, you have to be profitable. You must obey the laws of the land. You must be ethical in whatever you do, and you must be a good global corporate citizen. So we'll send you a copy of the report, this presentation. But broadly, the customers, the world expects us today to have much higher ethical standards when we do business. That is one of the major trends which is happening and themes which is happening. And in respect to our organization, you know, we don't have that much of energy consumption, you know, in garmenting especially. It's more about labor intensity and people, and therefore the social aspect becomes more critical. So when we talk about the social aspect, we have people, workforce, health and safety, diversity and inclusion, social protection, medical treatments, vulnerable groups like, let's say, people with disabilities and so on. As far as the consumer is concerned, what is the quality we make in terms of product? People don't expect only to make sure about our own manufacturing. They expect us to go right down to our supply chains and ensure that right from the farm, you know, we are, being able to protect labor rights, environmental rights, and we are expected to make sure that we source things from people where people are responsible. Similarly, if you're working in a community, we would be expected to not harm the community. There should be no pollution, no waste disposable, no indiscriminate usage of resources like water, and we must be able to protect vulnerable communities. And last and not the least, pollution, waste disposal, and things which are part of the environment must be taken into account. So, the critical thing here is that many organizations are getting pushed by customers to be more responsible in their business. But unless, we can choose to react to it and just to keep the customers happy, or we can make it a basic tenet of our business. If we don't do that, then the chances are of being able to, practice it and satisfy customers will be very difficult too. So I've given a small cartoon to give an extreme example. So you have these two guys who've just, looted a bank, and then they are talking to each other and they are asking about what they're doing about their CSR activities. So this is the extent of how the world is moving today, So responsible business is more about being genuine in terms of what you want to do rather than to pretend to be doing it. The next theme which we discussed is building organizational capacity, which basically means, does the owner, the CEO, or the head of the business believe in sustainability? Or is he just responding because customers are talking about it? So this is a very important question. Each one of you, I don't know at which stage are you in the sustainability journey, we must ask ourselves. And is there a person who's accountable for driving it? Like he could be a factory manager, a maintenance manager, or in slightly larger companies, he could actually be a sustainability manager. And once we feel that, yes, we need to drive, it's very important and so on, it's not about, talking big, oh, I went to a school and, I distributed, some notebooks to them, or, I did a campaign during the, sustainability day. It's about actually setting goals, gathering data, and actually having a clear sense of direction as to how the organization has to move in terms of sustainability. And I'll just expand on it a little bit. So if we take the example of Activate Climate Response, which is environment, So we have found, for example, the best tool that which we are using is Higg index. And there is a FEM for environment and FSLM for social. Time is too short to talk about it. I'll be happy to connect with each one of you about it. But, this basically is a simple system where you sort of get evaluated, where your scores are. And if you just keep improving your scores, you improve your response to the environment. So we, for example, started with a score of 50 and now we are at 95. Some of our factories are now rated among the top 5 in the world. Okay, and it's very easy to start. You start by doing a simple energy audit, like Terry and all, they're based in Delhi also. They will do an energy audit. You usually find that after the energy audit, what we found, for example, was we were stretching a very old boiler. And that was actually polluting, and creating more trouble than actually justifying its use. Or, for example, we were using high density oil and we switched to briquettes. We also put meters, water meters, electricity meters. If we had multiple floors, we put it in different floors so that we could actually see where the energy or water or other the consumptions were higher. Solar was one of the quick wins. What we did was, today you don't even have to spend money on solar. There are companies who say that, look, we will set it up for you, we will run it for you. You have to pay a certain rate per unit, and that rate is usually lower than what you would have paid to the electricity department. So, you actually end up saving simply by setting it up and, agreeing to their thing. The other thing which we are doing is we look at our energy, water per shirt or for whatever product you make. And that gives an idea with where we are moving, because sometimes we have low production, high production. So, you need to look at it as a ratio rather than in absolute terms. Even on water, the simple things are rainwater harvesting, installing systems to do it. I believe it's raining a lot in Gurgaon and possibly in Delhi. So you must think that all that water would have been part of your, sustainability effort if it had been harvested properly. We all are actually treating our water. There are so how do you use the water? For example, we use the water for gardening. We use the water for toilets. If we can have bore wells, can we reuse the bore wells? Chemicals, of course, many people would be working with certain SDHC standards. Again, that is some area which is a quick win. And all these things we monitor. And I'm just giving you 2 sheets. Obviously, it will be too quick to explain in detail. But you like this is carbon emission. How much diesel, how much HSD, how much LPG, how much briquettes, how much energy which we purchase, and that gives us the emission which we monitor the carbon footprint. And actually one of the biggest sources of emission is purchased electricity, or even briquettes, or even diesel. So there is scope 1, scope 2. We have started with those 3. Scope 3 we are planning to do. Okay, similarly, let's say waste, chindi waste, paper waste, carton waste, plastic waste, carton roll, raffia, boiler ashes, food waste, garden waste. We track it and we then try to see how to get it down. And a lot of this waste is now actually being picked up by companies who actually are able to, like, they pick up the plastic and they pick up and they actually convert it, reuse it into something. So we actually classify waste as what can be recyclable and what can be upcyclable, and so on, and that way, by just monitoring it, we have been able to reduce our waste and also reuse our waste. Similarly, co-creating, like we always think that manufacturers, are given a, product to do by the brand or by the buying house, and we don't have a role to play. But what we do is, whatever we get in terms of the bill of materials from the brand, we actually convert it through a very simple index and tell them that how dangerous it is for the environment. And we suggest to them that, look, if you make some small changes, the same product can be far more environmentally friendly. And I'll just show you a small video which will illustrate this.
Wait!
Sorry. This is
Did you download Grammarly?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought how your clothes affect the planet? Here's a fact. It takes 3,200 litres of water to produce a single shirt. This represents enough drinking water for one person for a period of 3.5 years. Or how about this? 10% of greenhouse gas emissions are caused by the apparel industry. This is more than all international flights and maritime shipping combined. But here's the good news. It's not too late to change all this. One solution is to create responsibly by choosing the most sustainable materials, processes, and packaging right from the design development stage. Bringing together a strong CL textile expertise and reliable data from recognized textile institutions, our design and sustainability teams have developed a pioneer tool, the Eco Index, to assist and educate our creative teams in designing responsible products. So, how does it work? The Eco Index is an automated calculator which evaluates the impact of a garment from the raw materials, the different processes it undergoes, to the packaging. We have implemented a 5-color rating system, with red being the most impactful and blue the least. It is amazing how making the right choice of materials and processes at design stage can result in producing the most sustainable product offer. Eco Index. Design responsibly. CL Textile. Improve fashion every day.